afternoon, friends. This is Captain DeSantis and Sodium Chloride Crable going to wish you a great STEM fair. It's Thursday afternoon, and Jeff and I are here to tell you about the upcoming Science Fair STEM that is going to be happening on Fox Hollow. I'm sure you've all been waiting to hear all about it and are eagerly participating in the STEM projects in the classroom. So, Jeff, what is STEM?
STEM stands for science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. And we're doing STEM to make our students college and career ready.
Obviously, we've all heard college and career ready over and over and over again, but is that not what we really want our kiddos to be able to think and do and be able to be prepared, right?
Yes, we would like them to be that, especially my third graders. We're college prepared ready already.
And science is all around us. We cannot live a day without science and thinking scientifically, can we, Jeff?
No, we cannot. Science is in the air we breathe.
Isn't there a song with that?
Could be.
Okay, what is the difference between STEM and Science Fair, Jeff?
Okay. Well, the Science Fair just focuses on science. And the STEM Fair, your focus can be on engineering and trying to design something, or doing our traditional scientific process. Experiments.
Right? So I think I get what you mean. Let me see if I can paraphrase it, okay?
Okay.
In years past, we would have 2 years of Science Fair, which was really the experiment, the trials, the 5 trials, and hypothesis trials and making conclusions. Our science with experiments always led with a question. So our third year in the cycle was always an invention convention. Now our state and our expectations with STEM are we're giving the children an opportunity to either perform a science experiment based on a question or develop an invention based on a problem or a solution that they might have to solve that problem. Am I correct with that?
You are correct on that.
Both, however, have to still go through that scientific inquiry.
Yes.
It certainly, our students would be able to incorporate engineering in there too, right?
Yes, they would.
Okay. They still, in our Science Fair STEM, still have to go through the 5 trials. They still have to be able to identify the controls and the variables.
That is correct.
And they still have to make hypotheses in both experiments and the engineering, invention, technology phase, right?
That is correct. And still doing their research. Research
is very, very important because without our research, it really is just a silly old model.
That is true.
Do they have to keep a journal this time?
They do have to keep a journal, but most of their journaling would be done in their STEM packet.
In their STEM packet, which I do believe can be gotten on Canvas online.
It can. I have passed out enough, but we have run out, so there are no extra copies for those who wish them, but they can go to Canvas and click on STEM and download their own.
My students, I usually suggest that they type it and they keep it on their laptop or their computer and their thumb drive, and this way as they go along they can edit and make changes.
That would be a good idea, but my students aren't really good typers, so we just handwrite ours.
Oh, wow. So, where can we get resources?
You can go on Canvas, on the home page, there is a link to the STEM Fair, and it will provide you all sorts of wonderful information provided by Lauren Burdick.
There are various ways, friends, of carrying out scientific explorations, and STEM is giving our students the opportunity to carry out those scientific explorations based on their interests or their need. Scientific explanations for phenomena are based on evidence, and the evidence is trials. It's the 5 trials.
Yes.
And it's actually keeping everything, keeping controls, identifying them, and knowing what their constants are, And I also do believe that they have dependent variables and independent variables, don't they?
That is correct. We still have that.
Okay. Engineers always begin with a problem to solve. They need a bridge to be built, they need a program to be written, they need the plants to be watered independently for whatever reason. So engineering always starts with that problem to solve. Scientists search for answers through experiments and other processes such as research and inquiry. And you discussed that. Research is very critical. The multiple trials, why do we do multiple trials and why do we do 5?
We do 5 because you never know what could happen. Maybe you're doing some, looking at the temperature. Could be maybe a cloudy, rainy day. Is that going to be different than if you have 4 days of sunshine? So you need those trials to make sure that your experiment could just be a fluke.
Just a fluke, and you're actually, by the 5th trial, you're seeing trends. You're seeing if something is actually the trend in what is the data is showing, right?
That is true.
So from our 5 trials, the students are asked to create a data table because that is random data, the trials, and now they have to fine tune it into a data table, and then from there create a graph.
Great graph.
Okay.
You can use any type of graph, line graphs, bar charts, anything.
Okay, remember, friends, line graphs are used with change over time only. So plants that are growing or temperature changing. But when you have separate parts of data, also called discrete, you use your bar graph with that. Scientists attempt to answer questions about the natural world by constructing a variety of investigations and making and observing and connecting explanations. So, we have a CUD for our STEM. And yes, it is very much content driven. It definitely is standards driven. And it is an expectation of all of our grades 3 through 5 students to participate in the STEM fair. They are to complete the log, journal, and also a backboard and present their findings. And the presenting is also part of our ELA standards, and that is speaking and justifying their thoughts.
You know, we have a beautiful video done showing somebody presenting for their STEM fair that is done by Lauren Burdick. So
why don't we share that with our friends?
Excellent idea.
Students are engaged in science and engineering practices throughout their projects. The Elementary STEM Fair provides multiple opportunities for students to communicate and share their findings and reflections. There are a variety of ways to collaborate with students in learning about their project to assist in collecting evidence to guide in the completion of the judging rubric.
How did you come up with this idea, or what made you want to choose this topic?
Well, I chose this topic because I love flowers and I wanted to learn more about it. So that's why I wanted to learn how do we make flowers last longer.
The student research plan, project log, if applicable, backboard, and that dialogue and conversation with the students will serve as those tools in evaluating those STEM projects based on the criteria outlined in the rubric.
Yes. What did the data say to you about your experiments? Did it support your hypothesis?
The data did not. I found out that the beginning of the storm actually had more pH.
Oh, so it had a higher pH at the beginning?
Yes.
The rubric is organized into 6 sections: creative ability and originality, scientific thought, thoroughness, skills, communication, and STEM connections.
Okay, and as you can see in the video, the students presenting the his or her STEM fair project. Lauren Burdick was referring to this rubric, asking questions. Please use this rubric when you are asking questions of the students. You can also see that the rubric has been changed to specifically for our STEM fair. The titles or the subtitles or categories are different. Like in the past, we don't use animals, we don't use bacteria, and we don't use human beings. If you do perchance, if this, one of your students wants to use an animal of any sorts, and I think this is still true, Jeff, they have to get a letter from a veterinarian saying that he supports the plan, right?
I believe that is still true.
After you watch this podcast, we would love for you to email your comments to Jeff and I, and we will be more than happy to give you resources that we have custom, hand-picked, labored over, right?
Yes.
Truly
Labor of love.
Labor of love, wasn't it, Jeff?
Yes, it was.
Okay, and that's to make us all that much smarter and STEMish.
Is that a new word?
I think so.
Okay.